Shalom Aleichem, it's Rabbi Zalman. In this week's Torah portion, the Torah tells us how there was a Jew, the first Jew, his name was Avram Avinu, Abraham, and he was extremely wealthy, both materially and spiritually. Materially, he had a lot of money. Spiritually, he had a lot of wisdom. But there was one other extreme that he possessed. He was extremely kind. So when you're extremely kind and you're extremely wealthy, what do? You share your wealth. So how do you share two types of wealth? Spiritual wealth and material wealth. So you know what he did? He opened up a hotel in the middle of the desert. A hotel. But there was a little catch. The hotel was completely free. There was no food for miles around. Yet, in his hotel, you ate meat and gourmet food. So that was the material wealth that he shared. So how did he share the spiritual wealth, you ask? When people came after, they would say, "Thank you so much." They would thank him profusely from the bottom of the heart. And he would say, "Thank you. You're thanking me? Thank the one who spoke and the world came about." That's what it says in Genesis. God said, "Let there be heavens and earth." Thank him. It's his food. He just gave it to me. I'm just a messenger. So a lot of them said, "Okay, thank God that we have people like you. Thank God for the food." But some of them would say, "I don't know God. I don't believe in God." God forbid. The irony. That's what I'm saying. And Abraham would share his spiritual wealth at that point. He would sit down with these people, these vagabonds he never met. Some of them were lowly people. And he would spend hours upon hours with them talking from the heart and tell them that according to every real honest logic, there's no way this whole operation of the universe is running on its own, if you're going to be honest with yourself. And he was very successful at persuasion and explanation. But then some just didn't want to hear of it. Those people, he would say, "Okay, if that's the case, I never signed a contract with you. I never openly said it's free." They would go in and there was food and they ate. Pay me. So they said, "Okay, I'd rather pay you," they will tell Abraham, "than believe in your stuff. And things we're not used to believing in." So he says, "No problem. What's a ribsteak worth in the desert? It's worth much more than in the city," and so on. He would give them an enormous bill, and he meant business, and he had guards. And he would say, "I never told you it's for free." And they would be forced to say, "Thank the God of the universe." And then he would let them without paying this enormous sum. So the Lubavitcher Rebbe asks, it's so un-Jewish to make these people have some lip service and say that they're thanking a God that they argued about for hours that they don't believe in just because they don't want to pay a bill. What does Abraham gain out of people saying they believe in God? What kind of business is not the Jewish way? It's not real if it's not coming from their desire inside. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Rebbe says such a phenomenal answer. I'm thinking about this for years. I love it. He says, to recognize that there's a boss to this universe is something that even the most un-Jewish, unreligious individual is capable of recognizing. The reason why you have people who don't recognize that there's a God, and they say they're atheists or whatever version of words, agnostics sometimes, it's arguable what that means, but I don't care, and who cares now, it's not relevant. The reason why they say that is because their self-consciousness, their a certain level of arrogance, their own individuality is too strong. They're too into themselves. So if you have this preconceived understanding, like Abraham did, that even a regular human being, an uneducated and crass, and he's pursuing materialism, even he has the capability to agree and understand that there's a God running this universe. It's not chaos. It's not Hefkerwelt, as my father of blessed memory would say. It's not just do whatever you want and everything happens on its own. If you have that preconceived understanding that Abraham did about the quality of a human being, that even the most lowly human being could and really has the capability of understanding that there's a God. So then, if you see that he's not agreeing with you that there's a God, and he's just being arrogant, and he's being the opposite of humble, and he's being too full of himself, and cares about his pleasure and his glory, glorifying himself too much, so you gotta squeeze him. What happens when you squeeze people? The true self comes out. The natural state of mind comes out. They're not so boastful about themselves. So when he forced them to pay that bill, it would just give them a little pinch in the you-know-where and a slap in the face that will just make them wake up. Get out of yourself for a minute and be honest. And honestly, even a non-Jew, non-religious believes in God. God bless all of you, and God bless America. Good Shabbos.